Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Hey, big cleaning supply companies, you shouldn't make bleach taste so good if you don't want people drinking it. Tide knew what they were doing. Their Tide Pods taste straight up like soap and plastic. It's so disgusting. And you know, when I first heard of Tide Pods, I thought it may have been like a pod of dolphins that were sponsored by Tide, like in NASCAR. You know, like a pod of dolphins running around with Tide written on them. Anyway, how wrong could I have been? Anyway, hey, do you know what pirates use for laundry detergent? Oh, wait, I screwed that joke up. They use Tide. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. EK's grinning. That's a good sign. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. I want to remind you, I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron. I'd appreciate that. You can follow me on Twitter. Where is it? There we go. At the Dollar Saw, which is the word wasteland spelled backwards, on Instagram. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I would appreciate it. My phone is still on. Excuse me. Yeah, I also have Cash App. Use hashtag Shock Monkey Radio, all one word. I feel ridiculous going through all this. Buy my books on Amazon.com. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. I got the Exit 13 books, The Bunny Years, a memoir. It's not a story about being a Playboy bunny. All right. If you search for The Bunny Years, you're going to be like, is it the book about being a Playboy bunny? And it's like, no, I was never a Playboy bunny. I was a Ralph Lauren model, swimsuit model when I was a kid. A lot of people don't believe that, but it's true. I was a model once. Anyway, I also got the Ravings of a Madman, which is a book based upon the ramblings that you find on this show, Shock Monkey Radio. I'd appreciate it if you help me out, supported my show, like, share, and subscribe, all that stuff. Help me get bigger. Anyway. Damn, it feels good to be a gamer. Feeding the noobs and helping with their kills. Although I was born in Antonica, now I'm in Fadwa making deals. Damn, it feels good to be a gamer. I mean, one that you don't really know. Riding around with my epic mount, hitting switches on my N64. Now, games to ask brothers come in all shapes and colors. Some characters got killed in the past. But this gamer here is the smart one. Started living for the Lord and I last. But this, so all I gotta say to you gonna be magic card min-max and pranksters. When it's time to roll initiative, what you gonna do? Damn, it feels good to be a gamer. You ever game? You a gamer? EK nods. EK obviously is a gamer. So I've been gaming. I gamed this past week, and I can't tell you how beneficial it was intellectually and mentally, and, you know, for the care and feeding of my intellect and mental health. You know, it's really important for people like me to game. I think for anyone with intelligence, you know, to game. And let's get back in the Wayback Machine. Let's get in the Madman Time Machine and go back to a year like 1994. 1994, and I'm driving my parents' old car. It's an old beater I bought off them for like $1,000 or something like that. I don't remember. And so, like every weeknight for like a month, I would go drive over to my friend Robert's house and we'd play the X-Wing game on computer on PC. And we'd separate the duties, like one would be the pilot and one would be the R2 unit, and you'd shout at the R2 unit and need more power to lasers, need more power to shields or something like that. I need to select that that target. I need that TIE interceptor right there. You know, and we'd have this fun way to play these games. And also at the same time, we were playing like Heroes Unlimited role-playing game, you know, which I think I find that kind of gaming much more fun. But around, I guess, like, I want to say 96, 97 is when the Decipher Star Wars customizable card game came out. And my friend Robert didn't really get into that, but I had a couple other friends that did, one of them being Jonathan. But Jonathan wasn't until a couple years later, until after I was out of the Navy. So mostly I was the only one interested in the Star Wars customizable card game. And so eventually I joined the Navy in like 97. You know, and then when I got to my duty station in Norfolk, you know, wasn't too far away here from Fredericksburg here. And so I was I'd get a day off, and it's not long enough for me to like go home, come up to Fredericksburg. I'd take my time off, and it was I usually get 48 hours off, and that's not long enough to go back home. But I'd get 72 hours, and I'd go home. But on my 48s, now I'm remembering, it's all coming back to me now, right, Celine? And so yeah, it's like I'd have a day off, and I'd go down to this Navy Exchange, and there's this little card store in the Navy Exchange, and they're selling these packs of Star Wars customizable card game cards. And like every week, I'd go in there and I'd buy one of those boxes. It was a box set of like 5 or 6 packs, unopened packs of Star Wars customizable card game cards. And I'd get like a sub from Subway, and I'd sit there and I'd eat my sub, and I'd look over the new cards I got, and then I'd go home and assimilate them into decks and stuff like that. And I was also playing Heroes Unlimited when I was in the Navy with a bunch of other sailors in my barracks and so forth. And it was like during that era, the end of that era is when I created Jackrabbit. And so that's from the book, The Bunny Years, a memoir. But as I was coming back home quite often, I was seeing my friends in town, so I'd see Jonathan, and he got really interested in the Star Wars customizable card game, and we played that a bunch, and in many ways that is a real, like, it's the smartest one of the card games I've ever seen. I've played Magic, I've seen people play Pokemon. It all seems real basic to me in comparison to the Star Wars customizable card game. And Jonathan's one of my smarter, more intelligent friends, and so he really loves the intellectual aspect, because you have things on cards. It's like, the square root of 3 times the dark side force icons, plus or minus the square root of a B number of light side force icons, and get the square root of all that, the third root of all that, or whatever. There's complicated math involved, and it's what I hate about the game, because I hate math. But here's the thing. A few years ago, my friend Robert got me into this Star Wars miniatures game, this X-Wing miniatures game, where you get little X-Wings and TIE fighters, and you zoom across the table, and you with movements and attack phases and stuff like that. And that's pretty cool. And so over the last couple of weeks, my friend Jonathan has been coming down, and we've been playing the Star Wars miniatures game, and we've been playing Star Wars customizable card game. We've been playing this game for over like 25 years. We've been perfecting our decks over the years. We'll have conversations about these decks. It's like, well, the problem with this deck is XYZ, and then you sit there and you have a conversation. My friend comes down, he's got some time to play some games with me. He comes down, he brings a cigar, he comes and stinks up my basement with the lovely sweet scent of a cigar. I'm not a fan of cigars myself, but I do love the secondhand smoke of them. I know it's a controversial opinion, but he'd sit there, we have a cigar, and we play the Star Wars game, discuss the decks. It was like, what's good about them, what's bad about them, how to make the deck better or worse, and it's so good to take time in that regard, because so much of our modern entertainment is terribly passive. And I'm talking about like all the videos you watch, all the the streaming services you have, and even the video games. People thought that like games like EverQuest or World of Warcraft would replace like physically sitting in a room with like 4 or 5 of your best friends and playing a role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons or Heroes Unlimited. It's absurd to think that would ever be better. And I think it's because, as the modern era came around, you'd have these gaming sessions, and then you'd have somebody who's in like a social group with you on a Facebook or something like that. And they're like, oh, I keep hearing about your games. I would love to sit in on a session on Skype while there's 4 or 5 other people in the room. And I don't think that works, And so I think these kind of games for people who are intelligent, it's good to lubricate your mind, the gears of your mind, with this kind of activity, because I was really suffering from writer's block until I started gaming with my friend, and then the next day I'm just typing away right in today's show. All right, so I felt like it's important for me to acknowledge that we've been playing this game for over 2.5 decades, and we still love it, And you know what? I never really have to get a software update. When it comes to the amount of cards we have, I don't think we need any more. No software update, no monthly charge. You got some time off? Yeah. He's going to pick up some beer and a cigar. Come on down. Let's play some games. Anyway. I had fun this weekend is what I'm saying. If you haven't picked it up. Yeah. Eric, you got that, you showed me that Rick and Morty game. We're going to have to play that soon. Rick and Morty, what's it called? The Total Recall? Yeah, Total Recall. Yeah, we're going to have to play that soon. So anyway, so I want to talk about like prayer in public schools, because I had a couple of people ask me, boy, you're talking about prayer a lot. And I was like, yeah. And then I started thinking more about prayer. And I remember when I was in 5th grade, I had moved from Lake Placid, New York to Brunswick, Georgia, and started going to school in the 5th grade in Brunswick, Georgia. What's that mean? I was like 10, 11 years old. I think 10. And I was surprised because my homeroom teacher on the very first day said, okay, everyone bow your heads in prayer. And I was like, wow, really? And I was like, oh, okay. This place might be all right if there's prayer in schools. And boy, was I wrong. Georgia's a weird place. Anyway. But I mean, I lived in a time when there was prayer in the public school, and I think that's kind of interesting. I went to school and like every day we had prayer. You pray for the nation, you pray for the school, like hope the team wins this week. I don't know. It's like, I don't know how you can vary up the school prayer. And in fact, I think it was just like the Lord's Prayer. Yeah, I think it was. Anyway, so I lived in this magical land called Georgia in the 80s, and every homeroom, there'd be a prayer every morning. But then throughout the course of the day, somebody would get called to the office, usually a male, and come back crying. Like, what happened? Well, I got spanked. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, I got spanked. And I remember we had to sign these forms, this is where the school says is like corporal punishment is used in these schools. And I'm not going to get into the story because it's long and convoluted and hard to understand. But and I've told it before. It's stupid. But I got in trouble once and I had to get spanked. And let me tell you something. I am not for corporal punishment for certain people. I didn't think I needed it in that particular situation. So, I mean, I was thinking about, how, kids these days, they really don't understand, like, the school that I went to, in, like, the fights, even in middle school, even in middle school down there, the fights, they would get vicious, guys drawing blood from each other in the hallway, and a couple of ladies trying to break them up. And you have to, seriously, they had like male teachers and like assistant principals wander in the hallways just to come running, I mean, women can be great teachers. I really do understand that. But when it comes to physical security, you want some 6'5" guy that's 250 pounds. You know what I'm saying? To pull a couple of teenagers off each other. The fights were vicious. And so I understood like the corporal punishment. I don't know if that, because corporal punishment existed, the level of violence was higher or anything like that. Or is it just a violent school? I don't know. So, I mean, I appreciated praying in the morning. So, please, God, don't let me get my ass kicked in the hallway or do something to get my ass spanked by the principal. And kids these days, they don't know what it is. They don't know what it was like. And I don't think it made me too weird, or anything like that. So, I mean, it's it's not like I call myself the madman and rant on the internet. So, I mean, I don't think it's too bad. I don't have any pent-up frustrations or anything. I'm kidding. I do wonder, like, because a lot of these kids need a spanking. And when I say these kids that need a spanking, I need these kids that are on Instagram and TikTok, and they're like going on and on about themselves and what their gender is or what their. You have never been spanked, have you? You need a little bit of concrete, face on concrete, and I think that's kind of my point about like, because, it's not like I avoided fights in those years, at that age, I fought, sometimes you're forced to. And I remember I had this conversation with this younger guy, and I was like, he's like, I have panic attacks and stuff like that. And it's like, you have panic attacks. You ever been in a fight? And it's like, no. They're like, well, that's why. If you want to step outside, throw a few hands, I'll go with you for your own, to cure your panic attacks. Because I don't know, something about like getting beat up in the bathroom in middle school, getting your face rubbed against it, the disgusting tile of a boy's bathroom in Georgia. It I don't know, it puts a little realism in your life, and it's like, I gotta, I'm a participant whether I want to be or not. So, anyway, there was lessons I learned in those years that kids don't get anymore. Anyway, I wrote this thing about this next segment about drumming, being a drummer, and then I went on to Twitter this morning, and I saw Serge Dupree's from at Serge.com on Twitter. He's the new sound guy over at Timcast, and he posted this: grifters imprisoning me, all that I see, absolute horror. I cannot post, I cannot scroll, locking accounts, Twitter is living hell. And immediately, like as I'm reading it, that's what I'm like. And so my comment was, runs to drum set, because that's one of those songs where, like, when anyone starts doing that, if you have any percussion experience, you're immediately air drumming, And so I was thinking, this earlier this week about being a drummer and like how it affects relationships. And EK's dog, I've introduced him a couple times. He's a larger dog, and that's why I love larger dogs, is because you pound them on the rib cage, you get a nice little good bass drum sound, from them. Boom 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 boom. Like, ooh, I like this dog. I got a good bass drum sound, bass drum sound from this dog. And the dog's looking at you like, okay, all right, too much. And I'll tell you straight up, cats hate it. If you try to get it like any kind of drum sound from their rib cage, they'll jump up, and usually they'll put a paw up, like they'll give you, what the hell are you trying to do, kind of like right away. And that's why I really don't like cats. But dogs, they're like, ooh, attention. I like this. It's like, why are you banging on my rib cage? And it's the basic kind of like Marky Mark. You can get a good bass drum sound from and it sounds different to you, I'm sure. And even if you had like a girlfriend, you'd be like in a hug or something like that, or slow dancing, and you're drumming on her back, and like even with family members, you hug a family member and you give a little, like on their back when you're hugging them. And I wish you wouldn't do that. It's like, I'm sorry. It's like you put a drum in my hands. It's like, you're a human Congo. Oh, and that banging thing. If you know a drummer, you'll see them do stuff like this. They'll find, if you know a drummer, they have a certain favorite table at your place that they love to sit at, and so just because it has the best sound. Anyway, so it reminds me of this time I had this roommate, and I come out of the shower, drying off, and it's like, what were you doing in there? I was like, I was taking a shower. I said, it's like, well, I heard this strange rhythmic rumbling coming from out of the bathroom, and then while you're in the shower, and I was like, what the? And I lean up next to the wall, and then all of a sudden it stops, and I hear you shout, wah! See, I can't even do it. And he's like, it's something like that. And it's like, were you doing down with the sickness in the shower again? Yes, I was. Guilty as charged. And if you're a drummer, you get like so many sounds out of like shower, out of this boom, boom, boom. My neighbors hated me, I tell you. All right, I got one more thing before we get into the news. I don't want to get too adulty or crass or pornographic. But have you ever been watching a porn and there's a painting on the wall in the background that you cannot stand? Or like a sculpture or something, and you're looking at it and it's just like, what is that hideous thing? You're like, I don't want to, whatever's going on in the foreground, I don't care about. I was like, I want a closer look at that weird ass sculpture. What is with that twisted ass painting? And it takes you out of the the zone. Is it just me? Is it just me that does this? If you see some disgusting, piece of quote unquote art on the wall in the background, you're just like, I can't distract it. It's like, I can't, this is so distracting. I cannot pay attention to you because that art is so horrible. I'm not trying to say that women aren't beautiful. They are beautiful. It's just that when there's something that hideous on the wall, it takes me right out of it. And it makes me wonder, like, if I would do that in a real situation. Now, say, I don't know, a real situation. Say I was driving down the road and I picked up a hitchhiker. Yeah, I do that. I picked up a hot hitchhiker on the side of the road. She's like, yeah, my boyfriend kicked me out of the car. She has a southern accent, of course, because that's hot, right? So, yeah, my boyfriend kicked me out of the car on the side of the road. Take me home. Would you take me home? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take you home. So you drive her home, and then you get it. Okay, here we are. And she's like, why don't you come inside? Let me thank you properly. And you're like, oh, okay, this is how porn starts. So I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go in here. And then you go into her house, right? And she's like, okay, let me thank you properly. And then she starts undoing your pants, and you're looking around, and you're like, what is up with your taste in art? Oh my God. And then you like stop and you go, zip, excuse me. I got to, like, you go grab the painting and like take it and pull it down, like face it against the wall. It's like, I cannot have that thing in my line of sight for any of this to go down. He's like, why can't you just look at me? And it's like, but I got peripheral vision, and it's going to be distracting. And so, as a matter of fact, can we put this statue in the closet or something? This is hideous. You know what? I don't want to have sex with you. You have horrible taste in art. I have weird standards. I know. Anyway, let's get into the news worth knowing. Let's get in to the news worth knowing. It's a slow news week. All right, so I have to talk about this because even though it upsets me, it's bummed me out since it happened. And that's the Tyre Nichols thing. Tyre Nichols' funeral gets underway in Memphis, Tennessee, with VP Harris in attendance. Let's just read a couple paragraphs of this. The funeral for Tyre Nichols, the 29-year-old black man who died earlier this month after a video showed him being beaten by Memphis police officers, got underway Wednesday in Memphis, Tennessee. All right, so Harris is in attendance. People who are there, I don't care. 6 Memphis police officers in total have been fired in the wake of the January 7th traffic stop, which led to Nichols' death 3 days later. 5 of the officers, who are black, are facing 7 counts each in the wake of the incident, including the second-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, and official misconduct. All right, I'm not going to identify them. No point. You're not going to remember. It's not like nobody's listening to my show and writing down names. You know what I'm saying? So, hopefully you haven't seen the video because it's disgusting and heartbreaking. It's a straight up beating. It's unsettling. Yes, EK said it's unsettling. It's a straight up beating. It's in no way any kind of professional, police thing. All right, and anyone out there who wants to like scream this is about racism, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. All right. What bothers me is that, people want to think that there's solidarity in the black community, but black cops doing this to a, black suspect, it's not about the institutional racism. Okay. It's about, these
institutional failure of police education.
I mean, yeah, it's education about professionalism is like, especially in this day and age, cameras are everywhere. Cameras are everywhere. As a police officer these days, how can you think about doing this at all? I mean, there are entire precincts that are scared to ever pull their weapon because they know something's going to happen to them. They're going to get vilified in the media and stuff like that. Cops are afraid to do their job, and on the opposite end of that spectrum, you have guys that take it too far. So yes, these cops do need proper education and training when dealing with it. But, what person wants to be a cop in today's day and age? It's a shame. It's like, the race of any of these people is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Whenever somebody dies, anybody dies, especially due to misconduct of police officers, I am, of course, upset. I don't like that. The good news is they have been fired and they have been charged with proper charges. All right? That's the good news. Justice is marching. Okay? Calm down. You know, that's the system working properly, which is the good news. It's a shame that Tyre Nichols had to die. It's a shame anyone has to die in police custody. But at the same time, there's a very big culture of people trying to hold court on the side of the road. People are trying to talk their way out of tickets or arrest. Next thing you know, they're resisting. Next thing you know, some cop loses his cool. I'm not saying that that's what happened in this incident. If anything, based upon what I saw in the video, is like that guy knew him. They knew each other. It looked like a personal beatdown to me. I've seen force being used properly. That is improper. So it breaks my heart. As I'm sure it breaks your heart. And so the answer to this is not defunding the police. These people need more training. Far more training. Especially in dangerous places like Memphis or Atlanta or Chicago. Anyway, bumming myself out. I got a couple happier stories at the end, you know. I'll cheer myself up. All right, so an Iranian illegal immigrant was caught at the border, not on terror watch list after further vetting. So Texas law enforcement, the story changed since I posted it. Texas law enforcement arrested an Iranian illegal immigrant at the southern border last week, whose name and date of birth were initially flagged as a match on the FBI's terror watch list, but who a DHS official tells Fox News was ultimately determined not to be a match on the database after further vetting. Texas Department of Public Safety arrested 29-year-old Alireza Hidari last week after a traffic stop involving a human smuggler at the border of Valverde County, Texas, as part of Operation Lone Star. Hidari was being smuggled in a vehicle along with 4 other illegal immigrants. He was located in the trunk. Fox is told that Hidari was handed over to Border Patrol custody and later determined to be a match for FBI's terrorist screening database. Fox reached out to the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration Customs Enforcement, and the Customs and Border Protection on Thursday and multiple times since. Only on Tuesday did DHS refer Fox to the FBI, which declined to comment. The FBI's website says it does not confirm anyone's status on the watch list. Not fair enough. However, on Wednesday, a DHS official told Fox News that after further vetting, Homeland Security officials determined that Hidari was not a match for the TSDB. Yeah. So this is like every day at the southern border, people coming in. When I first posted it, I was like, see? Terrorists are coming in. But, just like our culture, there's going to be another guy named Scott Robbins in this country. Probably lots of them. There's probably like 3 or 4 different Scott Robbins in this town. So they have different names. There's obviously confusion sometimes, but the simple fact is a legal immigrant trying to get into the country. I have no problem with these people coming in legally, but when you're hiding in trunks, that doesn't seem legal activity to me. Anyway, let's talk about more about Iran. Iran so far away. I couldn't get away. All right, so warning sign. Iran's military reportedly sending warships to Brazil and the Panama Canal in a challenge to the U.S. The United States is tracking warlike announcements by Iran's regime that it deployed 2 military ships to Brazil that are headed for the Panama Canal, where Tehran declared it will establish a military presence. A U.S. State Department spokesperson for the Fox News Digital told Fox News Digital on Tuesday that we are aware of these claims by Iran's Navy. We continue to monitor Iran's attempts to have a military presence in the Western Hemisphere. Sorry. The Iranian regime-controlled news outlet Tehran Times reported Saturday that Iran's 86th flotilla warships is now sailing along the western shores of Latin America, the Navy's second command said. Flotilla. Two ships. It's officially a flotilla, I guess. Fox News Digital learned on Tuesday from a Western security source that Iranian warships had not yet docked in Brazil. Senator Marco Rubio from Florida told Fox News Digital in a statement that Iran's growing presence in the Western Hemisphere should come as no surprise, as the Biden administration has a history of appeasement and engaging with authoritarian regimes. Tehran's ability to expand its military presence in our hemisphere should be a warning sign, especially when it seeks to support the left-wing Marxist regimes that will undermine peace and stability throughout the region. Well, he packed a lot into that paragraph, didn't he? So Representative Maria Elvira Salazar from Florida told Fox News Digital that Iran has been aggressively strengthening its ties to the Western Hemisphere through like-minded socialist regimes in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba. Cubano. They are also looking for opportunities elsewhere. It's no coincidence that Iranian ships are docking in Brazil just a month after a socialist retook power in the country. She added, instead of supporting Iran-friendly socialist and left-wing regimes in Latin America, the Biden administration should be strengthening political forces committed to keeping our hemisphere free of anti-Semitic terror. Those people write tersely, don't they? Yeah, anyway, so I heard this story about like 2 ships coming from Iran into the Western Hemisphere. And I was thinking about that Rick and Morty episode where the heads show up and they fire nukes at the head and it goes like on its chin and go, boo, not cool. Yeah. That's how terrified I am of Iran's Navy. It's 2 ships in the Western Hemisphere, so that like supply lines are extreme, like as long as they could be for them, you know. And so I think that knowing what our Navy has, even now, even knowing like how much has been like reduced in our military, even now is like, you know, 2 ships. Come on, Iran. And you know, Iran's not even our biggest concern. You know, it's more. I think Iran is more concerning than, say, Ukraine. But you know, I'm not here to. That news article isn't about that. So I don't even think it. Yeah, I'm more worried about Russia than Iran right now. Anyway. China's a big worry. Anyway, let's bring us something closer to home. Illinois loses appeal over gun control law, leaving restraining order in effect. So the state of Illinois lost an appeal on Tuesday after a lower court judge issued a restraining order on a newly enacted ban on some semi-automatic rifles as well as high-capacity magazines. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the gun control law on January 10th, which bans the sale and distribution of assault weapons, high-capacity magazines, and switches, which went into immediate effect immediately after he approved it. Tyrant. Effingham County Judge... Is that a real place called Effingham County? I want to live there. Where are you from? Effingham. Weird. Anyway, Effingham County Judge Joshua Morrison issued a temporary restraining order against the law on January 24th, preventing it from being enforced. Morrison's ruling came in response to a lawsuit from 4 gun merchants and 850 individuals who argued that the law was enacted improperly and didn't have the proper public input, adding that it violated the state and U.S. Constitution Equal Protection Clause and providing exemptions for some groups of people based upon occupation or training. For example, people who are active or retired law enforcement are excluded from the ban. Morrison said in his ruling that the plaintiffs are being immediately and irreparably harmed each day in which their fundamental right to bear arms is being denied. After an appeal from Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul, Illinois' 5th District Appellate Court ruled Tuesday in a 2-1 decision that the temporary restraining order can stay in place and also extends it statewide. Previously, the temporary restraining order only applied to the plaintiffs. Ruling states that the plaintiffs had a likelihood of success on the merits in regards to their argument that the law violates the state and U.S. Constitutional Equal Protection Clause. Illinois is also facing several other lawsuits challenging the law, including one from the NRA, National Rifle Association. Jason Ouimet, executive director of the NRA Institute of Legislative Action, told Fox News Digital that the law is unconstitutional. Quote, the NRA will not stand by while activist politicians pass unconstitutional laws that do nothing to promote public safety. We sued the state of Illinois because this new law is a blatant violation of the American Second Amendment rights. Wilmette said. Yeah, so it's funny. It's like these governors, you know, they're acting like tyrants. They're acting like little, you know, little tyrants of their little nation state, you know, or whatever it is. Yeah, nation state, I suppose. You know, and then you know, and then the judiciary's got to step up, you know, and I think that's what's got to happen. You know, the judiciary's got to step up. Anyway, I got two lighter stories here at the end of the show, trying to lighten the mood. All right, so New York City Pigeon dyed pink sparks speculation of sickening gender reveal. Quote, what is wrong with people? A gender reveal party could be to blame for a pale pink pigeon that was discovered in New York City's public park, in a New York City public park. PSA, this is a quote, PSA, please never release domestic birds into the wild. The Wild Bird Fund, an Upper West Side based nonprofit wildlife rehabilitation group, wrote in a Twitter post. Not for weddings, funerals, celebrations, art projects, or anything. We'd hope that don't die them goes without saying, but parenthetically they said, they will starve or be preyed upon. If you see an all-white pigeon in the wild or any tame bird standing around looking lost, it needs your help. Well, I wouldn't say that. Birds always look lost if you ask me. Please catch the bird and bring it to the pigeon rescue or animal sanctuary near you. And then they have this picture of this pink pigeon. Idiots. The bright pink pigeon, whose feathers were, quote, deliberately dyed, according to the rescue group, was saved by a good Samaritan who noticed his brightly colored body and reported to it. Yeah, it stand out. Observant onlooker speculated on how the naturally snow white bird became bubblegum pink. Excuse me. My guess is someone did it for some kid's B-Day party or gender reveal. One person commented, sickening. What is wrong with people? Another wrote. The rescue group determined that the bird was a king pigeon, a type of bird bred to be kept in captivity for exhibition or consumption. The Wild Bird Fund shared that they believe that the animal had never flown before and is most likely purchased from a poultry market. Since the bird had never flown before because of its vibrant plumes, the rescue group shared that the fowl will become an even more of a target for prey. Yes. Quote, this bird has had it bad enough as a domestic bird unable to find food in the wild, fly well, or escape predators, but being a bright, unusual color makes them even more of a target, the Wild Bird Fund wrote. Yeah. Gender reveal parties are a trend that gained popularity over the last decade. Expecting couples gather loved ones to reveal the sex of their unborn child, usually through extravagant means involving the colors blue or pink. The center shared that the bird was barely more of a fledgling, but shows signs of long-term malnutrition. Now the nonprofit is caring for the pink pigeon until it is healthier and stronger. Then it will be transferred to a sanctuary where other king pigeons live. Look, you know I'm not a big PETA guy. I think PETA means people eating tasty animals, but cruelty is it's kind of a complicated thing. It's because I remember I was reading a news story or something about like this documentary group was like doing a documentary on like zebras or something like that, and they're in Africa and they like we want to track this one zebra, so they marked this zebra, like to put a mark on it so they could find it in the pack, and then it ended up getting killed because like the predators, the lions and stuff that hunted them, were able to single out that one, and go after it. That's what the stripes of zebras are all about. There are cursed horses with, I understand, but I mean, the whole point of that is camouflage. Not only camouflage in the wild, but camouflage within the pack. And so when you dye a pigeon pink for a gender reveal party or for whatever reason, how did you even do it? Obviously picked it up at the market, and did you hold it under, because it's all over its head and everything. Did you hold it under what, like dye? Like, it'll hold its breath. What the hell? How can you not picture that as being cruel? And ridiculous. For what? For what? For human celebration? You know, at least when people eat pigeon, which I guess, I mean, according to this article, some people eat pigeon. So, I mean, at least, you know, you're killing it for a good reason, you know, for sustenance. I think, you know, some people, you know, PETA may not agree, but the harm you inflict on it is based upon a need. You know, it's not just a celebratory thing. And if you can't see how that's like cruel, I mean, it's like years ago we did a story about pigeons with cowboy hats. You know, and the issue is that, you know, you're gonna single them out for predators. You know, you're basically painting a big bullseye on them for predators. Dunking a pigeon, an anesthetized pigeon in pink dye. Get over yourself. What? What a twisted world we live in, man. I tell you. Let's get into this last story, and then we're out of here for the week. So, San Francisco pizza shop fires employee who told police officers that they were not welcome. Just spitting their food like everyone else. A San Francisco pizza shop fired an employee after a police union said several officers were told they were not welcome at the restaurant. Damn, he did it enough that the cops told the union, and then the union called the restaurant. Oh, man. So the San Francisco Police Officers Association posted on Twitter Sunday that several officers went into Pizza Squared and were told that they were not welcome in the restaurant. The union said it reached out to the owners about the shameful and hateful actions of one of their employees. On Monday, the pizzeria tweeted that the employee was a trainee on his third day. Quote, when our shift manager told us about the incident after it happened, we expressly told him we did not share his views and that he was out of line. The tweet states he was fired at the end of the day. You made him finish his shift. Cold-blooded. The restaurant said it apologized to the police union. Union President Tracy McCrae told Fox San Francisco that police officers have dined at the pizza shop and never faced any mistreatment in the past. I wonder if it's like the best pizza in town. Normally we wouldn't complain, but it's the best pizza in town. We wouldn't care. We'd just go somewhere else. It's not like, you know, somebody, you walk into, like if you're a cop and you walk into McDonald's and somebody says, you're not welcome here. It's like, I'll try another branch, you know. Anyway. Quote, we were pleased to receive an immediate response from the owners, including a sincere apology for their employees' actions and commitment to meet with the affected officers and make the unfortunate situation right. That means free pizza, right? We're talking free pizza. Over the years, some police officers across country have been denied service at restaurants because of their chosen profession. You know, I know it's weird to say in this day and age because a lot of people, because so many of these corporations like M&Ms and stuff like that, they're doing all this woke stuff with their advertisement and packaging and stuff like that. And I'm just like, you know, it's that kind of stuff should be nonpartisan. You know, M&Ms, especially peanut M&Ms, are friggin' delicious and should be enjoyed by everyone. You know, I don't care how many surgeries you have. I don't care about what you identify as. M&Ms, especially the peanut ones, are friggin' delicious. Keep the politics out of there. Don't bring pizza, sacred pizza, into your politics. Serve the pizza to the cops. Be about your day and grumble on the internet like everybody else does. Don't shit where you eat. I think that's like, I don't know, like, do people even say that anymore? Don't shit where you eat. If you're trying to get a job, if you need a job, you know, don't bring your politics into your job. That's going to get you fired. You know, you come in there and you're just like, oh, yeah, you like who? I don't care. Okay. I don't want to talk about that. Do you like roller coasters? I like roller coasters. You know, because, I mean, keep it simple. Don't bring politics. Don't mix politics with pizza. How dare you? How dare you? Anyway, I guess this will be the end of the show. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I would appreciate it. Get involved. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends about this show. Make me super popular. Tell your friends. @DenaultSaw on Twitter. Follow me there if you want. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SL Robbins 13 on Instagram. So the Instagram one is basically like personal photos. I got some old photos I got to post soon. Shock Monkey Radio Redux is me like posting pretty much everything I do on the video side, and the Twitter thing is mostly me retweeting like Babylon B and funny memes I see. And, what's that one? Watch people survive. Crazy accidents that people walk away from. Anyway, I also have Cash App. Use the hashtag Shock Monkey Radio on Cash App. Send me money that way if you like. I have books available for digital download on Amazon.com. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. I got the Exit 13 series. I got the Ravings of a Madman, and I got the Bunny Years, a memoir. Please check it out. Like, share, and subscribe. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.